Ministry of Defence has declared the year 2025 to be the year of reforms. We are already in a post-Operation Sindoor phase where we need to look at our defence readiness afresh. And one of the keys there is to substantiate India's rise as a defence manufacturer that is proudly providing weapons to our armed forces as well as exporting made in India platforms to the world. And for that, the MOD has envisioned two flagship defence industrial corridors, one in UP and another in Tamil Nadu. So to understand better the thought, the process, the infrastructure and the challenges along with the legislative oversight, today's Worldview with Swasti is a marriage between the legislative and the executive branches of our government. Joining me today in studio is Mr. Sujit Kumar, a Member of Parliament and a member of standing committees on foreign affairs, science and technology, and soon on defence. Also joining me in studio is Major General Inder Mohan Lamba, a veteran and the Chief Nodal Officer for the UP Defence Industrial Corridor. Additionally, I'm very pleased to welcome Dr. Shri Hari Pratap Shahi, who is the additional CEO of the Defence Industrial Project, who's joining me from Lucknow. Thank you, sir. And with him is Colonel Sanjay Singh, another veteran and the Chief General Manager for the project. Without further ado, let's make the most of these distinguished gentlemen together. और आज का वर्ल्ड व्यू विद स्वस्ति व्यूअर्स की डिमांड पे हिंदी और इंग्लिश दोनों भाषाओं में करने की कोशिश करेंगे. So let's dive in. So pleased to be joined by all of you gentlemen. What an honor it is. और जैसा कि आपको पता है कि 2025 को कहा गया है एमओटी के द्वारा और राजनाथ सिंह जी के द्वारा कि ये ईयर ऑफ रिफॉर्म होना है. तो इसमें सबसे पहले मैं आपकी तरफ आती हूँ सुजीत जी. आप मेंबर ऑफ पार्लियामेंट हैं और आप बहुत सारे इंपॉर्टेंट कमिटीज़ को भी देख रहे हैं. उसमें फॉरेन अफेयर्स है, उसमें साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी है और अब आप डिफेंस को भी देखेंगे. तो इसमें इनका पर्पस क्या है? लेजिस्लेटिव ब्रांच है तो इनका पर्पस क्या है? कैसे समझ सकता है एक आम इंसान के पार्लियामेंट्री कमेटी फॉर डिफेंस या पार्लियामेंट्री कमेटी फॉर फॉरेन अफेयर्स क्या करता है?
गुड मॉर्निंग. थैंक्स फॉर हैविंग मी. जी, एज पर आवर इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन जी, executive accountability to the legislature is an essential element of our polity. The parliamentary committees play a very, very crucial role in ensuring that the executive is accountable to the legislature. And whenever any bill or any policy is introduced in the parliament, then the government can refer those bills or policies to the committees for wider consultation and discussions.
Right.
And the other, as you have rightly mentioned, oversight of the executive and its policies is another important element of the work of the committee.
Okay.
Now the parliamentary committee on defense or foreign affairs, or for that matter any parliamentary committee, plays this role. And in the case, if you come to the committee on defense, as has been articulated by our honorable defense minister Rajnath Singh ji, 2025 is going to be the year of reform. I think couple of things. One was that to reduce our import dependency, which is already happening. We see that we have substantially reduced our import dependency thanks to the policies of the government in the last 10-12 years.
Right.
Export. Today we are looking at 28. We have already crossed 28,000 crore of export.
Yes.
We are looking at 50,000 crore in the next couple of years.
By the end of this decade.
Absolutely.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Operational readiness. So one of the biggest task of the defense committee, standing committee, is to ensure that the operational readiness of our forces are always there.
Yeah.
And the government and it asks very, very pertinent and relevant questions to the government regarding the operational readiness.
Right.
R&D. Of late the defense committee has been focusing a lot on R&D.
Right.
In fact, I've been very, very vocal in my views that as a nation we are spending so less on R&D, less than 0.7% of our GDP. Right. Comparable numbers, China 2.6, US 3.2, Israel 4.6, so on and so forth. So unless we spend more on R&D, particularly R&D on defense, then we really can't match to the preparedness of our adversaries, particularly China. What percent of our budget should be spent on defense? Currently, we are at 1.9.
Of course.
Successive parliamentary committees have argued that and have advocated that we should spend at least 3% of our budget on defense.
Yeah.
Thankfully, during the demand for grant, the defense committee they made suggestions to the government, which partially the government has accepted. This year, as you know, we have a defense budget of 6.81 lakh odd crore,
Yeah.
which is a quite, I would say, a decent hike over last year's B.
Right.
This is almost 9.5% hike over last year's B. But in our view, in the view of the committee, this is still not enough. So,
Yeah.
Again, now Operation Sindoor.
Yeah.
Once the committee meets, and I hope that by then I'll be a member of the committee.
Yeah.
So obviously, a lot of discussions will happen regarding Operation Sindoor, and many of it will be classified, many of it will be,
Right.
of course, not available for public domain. That is the beauty of the committee proceedings, because we go beyond party lines.
Yes.
As you know, on the floor of the House, we are bound by the party whip. And oftentimes we don't get enough opportunity and time to speak also. But in the committee meetings, because there is no party diktat or party whip, most of the members, they speak their mind. And because defense is an issue or a subject, or foreign policy is a subject which binds almost all the parties, and we usually go beyond party lines.
Right.
And see whether the policies, the actions of the government are in tune with the national interest or not.
No, that's a very important point you raised, because the whole point is that the legislative branch of the government and the executive branch of the government should talk more, and there should be some oversight. That's the essence of democracy.
That is
तो
the
ये तो हमारी democracy की ताकत है. But now let me just come to Dr. Shahi. Dr. Shahi, आप additional CEO हैं इस पूरे project के, और if I'm not wrong, please correct me, 2018-19 के टाइम पे मेरे ख्याल से जो आम बजट आया था, उस बजट में ये बात हुई थी कि डिफेंस इंडस्ट्री कॉरिडोर सेटअप करेगी गवर्नमेंट, और उसके बाद हमने आई थिंक वी first had 2 flagship defense industry corridors, one in the state of Uttar Pradesh, which is a very very important state, and the other is in Tamil Nadu. आप उत्तर प्रदेश के उसको ओवरसी कर रहे हैं. थोड़ा सा मुझे ये समझाइए, और हमारे डिस्कशन के थ्रू दर्शकों को भी समझाइए कि पर्पस क्या है डिफेंस इंडस्ट्रियल कॉरिडोर जैसे प्रोजेक्ट का, क्योंकि हम सब समझते हैं कि इंडिया को अब डिफेंस एक्सपोर्ट्स में उतरने की ज़रूरत है, बट उसमें उतरने के लिए यू नीड लॉट ऑफ इन्वेस्टमेंट्स एट्सेट्रा. तो ऐसे में इस तरह के प्रोजेक्ट्स का क्या रेलेवेंस है?
नमस्कार, मैं ये बताना चाह रहा हूं कि फरवरी 2018 में माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने 2 डिफेंस कॉरिडोर स्थापित करने की घोषणा की, एक उत्तर प्रदेश में और दूसरा तमिलनाडु में.
जी.
इस प्रोजेक्ट को इम्प्लीमेंट करने के लिए यूपीडा एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है
जी,
जिसका पूरा नाम है उत्तर प्रदेश एक्सप्रेसवे इंडस्ट्रियल डेवलपमेंट अथॉरिटी. इसको नोडल अथॉरिटी बनाया गया. तो एक तरीके से डिफेंस कॉरिडोर का जो ये प्रोजेक्ट है, उसके एक विंग के रूप में यूपीडीआईसी, जिसको हम बोलते हैं उत्तर प्रदेश डिफेंस इंडस्ट्रियल कॉरिडोर,
जी,
ये स्थापित है. और यूपीडीआईसी के द्वारा यूपीडा के अम्ब्रेला में ये डिफेंस कॉरिडोर और प्रोजेक्ट देखा जा रहा है. 2018 के बाद हम लोगों ने लगभग 4000 प्लस एकड़ लैंड इन 6 नोडों में एक्वायर किया.
अच्छा.
और यहाँ बेसिकली डिफेंस इंडस्ट्रीज को इनवाइट करना और उनको प्रोत्साहित करना है. जो मॉडल हमने अडॉप्ट किया वो ट्रांसपेरेंट हो और बेहतर तरीके से जो इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट आ रहे हैं, डिफेंस इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट आ रहे हैं, उनको सुविधा मिले. उस क्रम में हमने 58 इंडस्ट्रीज को लैंड अलॉट किया है.
अच्छा.
डिफरेंट नोड में. और ये जो 58 इंडस्ट्रीज हैं वो लगभग अप्रॉक्सीमेटली 10,000 करोड़ का इनका इन्वेस्टमेंट प्रपोज्ड है.
अच्छा.
और लगभग 14,000 इससे एम्प्लॉयमेंट जनरेशन. 2024 में एक नई पॉलिसी लाई है डिफेंस इंडस्ट्रियल इन्वेस्टमेंट को बढ़ाने के लिए, बेटर पैकेज के साथ, बेटर इंसेंटिव के साथ जो आया हुआ है. और अभी भी हमारे पास लगभग 1500 एकड़ से ऊपर सेलेबल लैंड है, अलॉटमेंट की एरिया है. अभी तक जो 4 5 साल का सफर रहा है, उसमें हम कह सकते हैं कि हमारे यहाँ कानपुर में
जी
अडानी का एक बड़ा एंकर यूनिट है।
जी
हम अभी और इन्वेस्टर्स को
जी
अ बुलाने के लिए, इनवाइट करने के लिए हम तैयार हैं
राइट
और उसमें इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर सुविधाएँ और सारी इनिशिएटिव्स हैं। बाकी जब समय मिलेगा तो हम लोग बताएँगे।
नहीं, बिल्कुल इस पे हम इस पे बात करेंगे। इट वाज़ अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट प्राइमर दैट वाज़ गिवन बाय डॉक्टर शाही अबाउट क्योंकि बहुत सारे लोगों को पता ही नहीं है कि डिफेंस इंडस्ट्रियल कॉरिडोर क्या है और सबसे बड़ी बात है कि गवर्नमेंट की सोच क्या है इसके लिए। तो इसमें जैसे ट्रांसपेरेंसी की बात हुई, अकाउंटेबिलिटी की बात हुई, इन्वेस्टमेंट इकोसिस्टम को कैसे हम बेटर करेंगे उसकी बात हुई। सो आई थिंक देयर इज़ अ लॉट ऑफ डिस्कशन एंड कन्वर्सेशन दैट वन मस्ट बी हैविंग। But with that, let me come to Major General Lamba.
Yeah.
Major General Lamba, you are the Chief Nodal Officer
Yes.
at the UPDIC.
Yes.
And you have been one of the key people, instrumental in bringing investments and talking about that. So अभी जैसे डॉक्टर शाही बता रहे थे हमको कि उन्होंने एक पूरा खाका बना के हमारे सामने रखा कि एग्जैक्टली ये है क्या।
Yeah.
क्योंकि कॉरिडोर से तो लगता है कि बस कुछ लैंड है, लेकिन इससे पता चलता है कि इसके पीछे एक बहुत बड़ी सोच है गवर्नमेंट की, टू बेसिकली मेक इंडिया ट्रांजिशन फ्रॉम अ नेट वेपन्स importer to a net weapons exporter
Yeah.
and make in India, make for the world, right? If I'm not wrong. हाँ?
True, absolutely.
अब आप मुझे ये बताइए थोड़ा सा कि इंसेंटिव्स क्या है, इंडस्ट्रीज कैसे इसको बेटर तरीके से समझ सकती है, क्योंकि डॉक्टर शाही ने जो बोला उससे मुझे लगा कि अभी केवल शायद भारतीय इंडस्ट्रीज हैं जो ज्यादा इंटरेस्टेड है, बट व्हाट अबाउट द फॉरेन इन्वेस्टमेंट्स?
See, the main aim, if I may sum up, of this corridor is indigenization in alignment with the Make in India policy.
राइट,
Indigenize करना है हमको, modernize करना है, ultimately export करना है.
ठीक है,
तो इसको पूरा करने के लिए we need to develop an ecosystem, जिसके बारे में डॉक्टर शाही ने अभी बताया.
what makes the UPDIC attractive?
Attractive. So see, one of the main ingredients is the good incentives being given in the new policy. Now the incentives, if I may quantify, the main one is the land incentive, in wherein if you invest a certain amount, then you get 25% of land incentive. The cost of land, that 25% is waived off, and that is given as a front end subsidy.
Okay,
And all other subsidies are back end subsidies. And I'll name three the main major ones. The first one is the incentive on infrastructure. 25 to 35% depending upon which place you're putting up the industry, which means in case you to establish the manufacturing unit, you spend 1,000 crores,
okay,
UP government will give you back 25,000 crores,
okay,
2,500 crores. So 25% goes back to you. So this is a major incentive. But for that, you'll have to prove that you have spent 1,000 crores.
Okay.
So 25 to 25% आपको. Now, if you go into the Bundelkhand area, then you get 35%. Now, Bundelkhand area is being given more fillip because it is relatively a little not in the mainstream
जी,
and थोड़े aloof area में. The third incentive is, which is unique to this node, is the incentive on transportation. इसका मतलब ये है कि अगर आपने अपनी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग यूनिट लगानी है,
जी,
उसके लिए आपको जो भी सामान ट्रांसपोर्ट में लेकर के आना है, ट्रांसपोर्ट का जितना खर्चा होता है उसका 25% हम देंगे,
oh,
विच इज एब्सोल्युटली यूनिक. बट दिस इज लिमिटेड टू ट्रांसपोर्टेशन विद इन द कंट्री. अगर आपका पोर्ट में सामान आता है, पोर्ट से आप यहाँ लेके आते हैं, उस पर 25% सब्सिडी मिलेगी आपको. लैंड है तो लैंड से भी मिलेगी. और यहीं पे खत्म नहीं होता.
अच्छा,
आफ्टर यू हैव started producing your product, आपका प्रोडक्ट बनना स्टार्ट हो गया है और इंडिया में आपने ए प्लेस से दूसरी जगह भेजना है, और अगर आपने रेल से भेजना है या आपने ट्रक से भेजना है या किसी अदर माध्यम से भेजना है, उस पे भी आपको 25% सब्सिडी मिलती है,
अच्छा,
which is actually a big deal, which no other node or no other manufacturing unit is doing.
Yes.
Apart from that, you have certain incentives wherein the registration fees is waived off.
अच्छा,
Certain subsidies are given to you for the green area, for women entrepreneurs, and things of the kind. But what the major is the land,
yeah,
infrastructure, and the transportation. And this has gone down very well with the investors.
okay. सुजीत जी, I'll just come to you, क्योंकि बात क्या होती है कि एक there are a couple of things. One is that there is an image issue a lot of times, and this is something that Indians understand well how we have changed. But when we're talking to foreign partners, है ना, अब आप मतलब MP हैं, Foreign Affairs Committee में भी हैं, तो इसमें how do we sort of make it known to them what is the right conversation that we should have that we are not having right now?
Well, I'm tempted to cite Professor Walter Ludwig, who teaches at King's College London, and
Sure,
he wrote
please.
a piece on 21st of May 2025
जी.
on Operation Sindoor. And he has argued that
That was a very widely read piece in
widely read,
India,
and in
of
fact,
course,
I
yes.
sent that to Dr. Jaishankar also, our honorable minister.
Acha.
And I mean, of course, he knew about that
Yeah.
article. But he argues that during a conflict, it's as important to win the narrative war as it is to win on the battlefield.
Totally.
And I mean, I may not agree, all of us may not agree, but his argument is that India won the war, the limited war, or whatever the objectives of the war, the Operation Sindoor were. We definitely met the objectives, but somehow
Lost the
we lost the
narrative.
strategic narrative
Yeah,
globally.
Yeah.
So I think that is relevant to what you just asked me.
जी.
Well, we carry a legacy, but things are changing. Today the world looks at us very differently than it did a couple of years ago or a decade ago.
जी.
The image of UP as a state
हाँ.
or as a safe destination for investments, for industry has definitely improved humongously because of the improved law and order, because of the policies, because of the leadership, the decisive leadership, and what Major General Lamba just spoke about, the kind of subsidies, the policy incentives they are offering.
Right.
So definitely industry is watching. And industry go wherever there is better law and order, better policy, good leadership. I'm not sure if they are attracting startups in the corridor.
Yes.
Of course they are,
But
yeah.
we are now the third largest startup hub in the country. And we have very few DPSUs, maybe 16 or odd DPSUs, but we have over 16,000 MSMEs working and catering to the defense sector. Right. I'm not sure how many of them will go to the UP corridor or the industrial corridor, or how many of them are already there. But I think that the world is looking at us very differently. If it were not the case, then we would not have exported 28,000 crore worth of defense equipment.
No, I'll just stop you there. Actually, क्या है कि the problem is not just that the world, of course, the world understands the relevance of India. I mean, there's no doubt about it. We are 1.5 billion people, and all the details, notwithstanding. I think that the specific question was, especially when you are talking about the defense sector investments.
Okay.
I think thoda sa, and with that I'm going to come to Colonel Sanjay, because I think he can really throw some light on that. होता क्या है कि there are reservations around bringing investments, especially from the foreign players. Generally देखिए हमारा FDI जो है वो grow नहीं कर रहा है because there are a lot of bottlenecks हैं, bureaucracy, etc. But in the defense sector, I think what is unique about the Defense Industrial Corridor project from the MOD, and here I think we must commend that thought that it's not just about bringing investments. And Sanjay ji, please help me understand, this is also about joint venture. Because I remember that we had this very meaningful conversation with so many recently at the Greek Defense Expo, where you said कि government ये भी चाहती है कि अगर आप know-how लेकर आते हैं, तो investment government provide करवाएगी. आप इसके बारे में थोड़ा सा please help us understand what this is, because this is, I think, a missing link that a lot of foreign players and partners tend to miss.
So thank you, ma'am. I'll start with this. There is an example of 74% FDI that has been allowed till date as the maximum limit. However, when we talk of G2G, the 100% is allowed. While the FDI, when it is coming, and if it is coming from government to government route, that's fine, because one government is being assisted and handheld by the other government. What happens basically for the other players, wherein like in US, like in Germany, most of these players are a kind of the LLPs or the private players. They look for a joint venture in a sense that there is an Indian counterpart or a company which joins hand, which can move around in the system. Because when they land here in this country, it's new to them. And the rules, the regulations, the certifications definitely are, they are not very aware of as to how and where to meander in this system. So that brings to the answer to your first question as to how the JVs can come in. So this is the way the JVs can come in. And what has UPDIC done for this? We have interacted with the Israeli government. We have been in constant touch with the Israeli ambassador. And while I was talking to the Indian industries, the MSMEs or of whatever nature, me and like us and the Israeli embassy decided to bring in both our peoples together, make them sit at a point, and then subsequently they can take the things together. It was basically to bring in confidence in both the parties. Like the other one shouldn't feel that I may be taken for a ride because there is no hand or there is no support. So that is one model that we have been acting upon. And I can very proudly quote two such incidences who have become and are likely to become the investors in UP Defence Corridor. One would be Safran and other would be the Thyssen Group. The whole idea, what is clicking with the foreign investors as well as the domestic investors is that when we say a node, it is a proper defense and aerospace ecosystem node. Okay. There is no likelihood of some bread making company or some restaurant which is going to come up there. I don't discount such industries, but the point is, if it is defense, it becomes actually an ecosystem which is purely defense and aerospace.
Okay. All right. No, that's a very, very important point. And then, Major General Lamba, since we are talking about the foreign investors, etc. Would you like to mention a few? Of course, he mentioned Safran and he mentioned Thyssen Group, but they are बहुत बड़े players हैं. But I'm sure छोटे वाले players भी बहुत सारे हैं. You've had very meaningful conversations with the Armenian defense industries on dual use technology. Also very meaningful conversations with the Greek software companies. तो ऐसे आप थोड़ा सा help the audiences understand कि क्या length and breadth है big players और small players के बीच में कैसे?
One of the challenges of our corridor has been that we have not been able to get very many FDIs into our stream.
Ji.
The big players, obviously, because we go for the Defense Expo and other places, get in touch with us, and therefore they come to know who we are. And now I come to the point is we have not our marketing in the international community has not been so good. This is one of the challenges. And now we've started going abroad and meeting everybody.
No, we're working on that, yes.
We're working on that. And that is how we started getting the players. Right. We have just started interacting with the smaller players and tried to instill some confidence in them. We interacted with their ministries, with their government officials. And thereafter, we've started getting a few correspondences wherein they want some clarification. Right. So as far as the foreigners are concerned, we are at that stage as of now. Okay. So we have to build over it. And I confess that yes, in one of the challenges of the defense corridor has been FDI.
Okay. So Gigi, let me just come to you now. And of course, you are also basically in the know-how of how these policies are put together. So without giving too much away, but what really is the next 5-year view, for where MOD wants to take our defense industry, readiness, investment, exports, everything, the quality control, सारे challenges के साथ, मतलब क्या है? मैं 5 साल का ही पूछ रही हूँ because 10 years बहुत लंबा हो जाता है. So 5-year, what is the 5-year view?
I think my knowledge would be as good as yours. I'm not part of the government, though I'm part of the ruling party.
Yeah.
And I of course sit in the parliament and gets to hear
the
views of the government. But of course, reduction of our imports. I think government wants to bring it down to as low as 25% or even lower than that. 50,000 crore worth of exports in
by the end of this decade.
Even earlier, maybe by 2028, 29. Startups, IDES was started with that objective.
Yes.
But I would see more funds being earmarked for startups. We have some really, really remarkable startups doing excellent work in the area of space technology, drones, defense. There are not many dedicated startup funds in the country, not many dedicated VC funds in this start. So the government should step in.
Right.
R&D, more R&D for defense.
Yeah.
As of now, as I said, only 0.7%, and that includes research for agriculture, research for handicrafts, research for defense. Everything included is 0.7% of our GDP.
Yeah.
So I think government should, and I think a great beginning has been made by setting up this National Research Foundation. And I think this clarity of policies.
And what I
Of-
also, yeah, and what I also expect is that when everybody talks about the defense budget, so we
Right.
are 1.9 around 2, and
Right.
now the least is 3%, and many people would argue now after Operation Sindoor and everything, it
Right.
should be at least 4%. But the catch there is, and that's something that we also want to convey to the policymakers, is that it's not just the overall defense budget, but the special budget which is earmarked for capital procurement that has to rise. So,
That's correct.
that also I think is something that.
Well, in the
probably
past, sorry.
Ji, ji,
In the
please,
past,
yeah.
we have had defense budget over 4% of GDP after the 62 war.
Yeah.
The 1963 defense budget was 4% of GDP.
Ji.
1966 was 3.6% of our GDP.
Right.
And of course, probably that was the need of the time then. But I think because we have two adversaries, one on the east and one on the west, and we have a very hostile geopolitical environment. I think we need to definitely spend more on defense budget. Well, always there is a balance between bread and bullet, right? So between the midday and the missile. So, but I think education and defense, these are two areas where the nation cannot compromise. And I've always argued that we should spend 6% at least on education and 3% on defense.
See, 5 years from now, as I see it,
Ji.
there'll be dominance of indigenization, if I may put across this way. And the war that we fight in, let's say, 2030 will be totally indigenized
Okay.
with complete R&D from our company.
Okay.
We are in the cusp of transfer of technology of major weapon systems that would have come to us.
Okay.
We would have trial tested everything, orchestrated to fight a totally indigenous equipment war.
Okay.
There will be critical gaps. They will be fast tracked and they'll be made available.
Well, I mean,
And
that's what we need to
So
build a balance.
5 years from now, we are totally on our own.
But before I get deeper into that, but I have to go to the gentlemen in Lucknow who are joining us from Lucknow. I mean, recently there was a lot of news about Rajnath ji going there and actually inaugurating a facility for BrahMos. So उसके बारे में कुछ बताइए, please. Dr. Shahi, आप बताना चाहें, Colonel Sanjay Singh, आप बताना चाहें, whoever wants to tell us about that, because I think that is also something that I guess the defense ecosystem is very proud of.
I'll take on this question, ma'am.
All right, yeah.
Although everything is there in the open domain. Dr. Rajnath Singh, our Honorable Raksha Mantri, inaugurated a facility which came up in Lucknow. But as far as the product that this facility produces, the brand name produces, is not unknown to the world.
Of course.
ये पूरी दुनिया जानती है कि ब्रह्मोस मिसाइल क्या है. It is a joint venture. BrahMos is a private limited company, although under the flag of the DRDO between Russia and India. So, and the best part that happened in the last about 10 days or 15 days was that this particular missile, which till date was being sold to almost about 6 countries, 7 countries, has been battle tested.
Yeah.
So what gives a flip to this particular facility that is coming up in Lucknow is कि इस चीज को लखनऊ में बनाया जाएगा और जो यहां से प्रोड्यूस होगी उसका बैटल टेस्टिंग हो गया है. सो आज की तारीख में इनके शेयर्स और इनकी तमाम सारी चीजें, इनकी रेपुटेशन बहुत ज्यादा ऊपर पहुंच गई है. इसके साथ ही मैम, आई लाइक टू ऐड 2-3 मोर थिंग्स व्हिच प्रोबेबली हम बातचीत के दौरान शायद कहीं पे मिस कर रहे थे.
जी.
अगर आप आज देखें तो इस साल हमारा 1.27 लाख करोड़ रुपीस का डिफेंस प्रोडक्शन था. हमने एक्सपोर्ट कितना किया? 23,000 करोड़ रुपीस. इसका मतलब तकरीबन लाख करोड़ के ऊपर हमारी डोमेस्टिक रिक्वायरमेंट थी, जिसको कि अभी हम पीछे बात कर रहे थे कि 2029 में हम 50,000 करोड़ का एस्टिमेट करेंगे. एक्सपोर्ट करेंगे. मैं यहां पे एक दूसरी चीज लाना चाहता हूं. हमारा गोल क्या है 2029 तक प्रोडक्शन का? 3 लाख करोड़ का. इसका मतलब हमारी डोमेस्टिक रिक्वायरमेंट, ये बात शुरू हुई 2014-15 से, जब आत्मनिर्भरता का नारा दिया गया हमारे देश में. नाउ द सेल्फ रिलायंस इन डिफेंस, व्हाई इट बिकेम मोर इंपॉर्टेंट वाज द वेरी फैक्ट दैट इन आवर पास्ट हिस्ट्री, विद द रीसेंट हिस्ट्री, जब हम इंडिपेंडेंट हुए थे, तब से 3 ऐसे इंसिडेंसेस हुए जब we were capable enough to respond to the wrong or the ulterior motives of our enemy, but our efforts were stymied because of the foreign intervention. क्यों? क्योंकि हम आत्मनिर्भर नहीं थे। तो मुझे लगता है हमको यहाँ पे कंसंट्रेट ये करना है कि हम ये 23,000 करोड़ रुपए का एक्सपोर्ट तो कर रहे हैं, लेकिन जो सबसे बड़ी बात है कि हम आत्मनिर्भरता के क्षेत्र में आज 1.25 लाख करोड़ रुपए तक का डोमेस्टिक रिक्वायरमेंट को फुलफिल कर रहे हैं, जो आज से 5 साल बाद 2.5 लाख करोड़ की हो जाएगी। यूपीडीआईसी का इसमें कंट्रीब्यूशन क्या है? अगर 9,872 करोड़ रुपए का इन्वेस्टमेंट रियलाइज हो रहा है और हम मान के चलते हैं कि आने वाले 4 साल जो हम टाइम देते हैं, ये 10,000 करोड़ का ये 58 कंपनीज रियलाइज कर देंगी। हमारा कंट्रीब्यूशन इन ओवरऑल प्रोडक्शन 5 years डाउन द लाइन, जो कि 3 लाख करोड़ रुपए का पेक्ड है, हमारा कंट्रीब्यूशन कितना होगा यूपी डिफेंस इंडस्ट्रियल कॉरिडोर का? 10,000 करोड़। इसमें एक भारत इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स है, जो कि करीब 1,500 करोड़ रुपए का दे के आ रहा है। Anybody and everybody who is even minutely savvy about the complete Operation Sindoor, what was Akash Tir and what was the role of Bharat Electronics in that?
That's right.
We all know.
Yes.
The second people who are going to come are the IRD, that is the DRDO ka lab in Lucknow with an investment, a projected investment of 2,000 crore. What is IRD? It is not something which is in the salubrious environment of Dehradun. It provides the seeker for the BrahMos missile.
बट आप कुछ कह रहे थे लांबा साहब, एंड आई
नहीं,
ऑल्सो मैं एक और चीज़ जानना चाहती हूँ. देखिए, क्रिटिक्स जो है ना बहुत सारे, वी हैव, बिकॉज ऑब्वियसली वी आर इन अ वेरी थ्राइविंग डेमोक्रेसी, तो बहुत क्रिटिसिज्म भी है चीज़ों का कि जिसको हम मेक इन इंडिया कहते हैं, असल में वो असेंबल्ड इन इंडिया है. तो इसको ब्रेक करने का क्या तरीका है? और ऑफ कोर्स यू कैन ऑब्वियसली एड इट टू व्हाटएवर पॉइंट यू आर ट्राइंग टू मेक.
What I wanted to add to what Sanjay was telling or amplify it, कि 1,80,000 crores the capital outlay, of which 1,35,000 crore का indigenous production करना है, and which will go to 3 lakh crores in times to come. What it also translates in a different ways, as on date also 65% of the equipment of defense is being made in India.
Okay.
Correct. If 65% is being made in India and it translates to 3 lakh crores, goes without saying that everything will be made in India, except of course a few critical components
We all know
jiska technology has not been transferred to us. And therefore we are seeing indigenization in a very big way in times to come. And we, as Sanjay brought out, we are going to be a very major place because of one big USP that we have, and that is we have got large tracts of land which other industries do not have. If somebody wants to come and take 200 hectares, we are willing to give them. So it will be in place at this point in time to also tell one fact that 2 or 3 years down the line, our Jhansi node will definitely be the biggest node for production of explosives and propellants in the world.
Oh, let's underscore that. Yes.
In the world.
Okay.
Because we have all the requisite ecosystem and the infrastructure, and all the big players are coming over there. We can offer them big tracts of land. There's abundance of water in that area, and all the people, even the foreign players, have understood this.
जितने नोड्स हैं अभी यूपी में, उसमें से कंसंट्रेशन कहाँ ज्यादा है? बिकॉज यू सेड ना, नॉट एवरीथिंग इज इक्वली, द डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन इज नॉट इक्वल.
See, Lucknow node is totally filled up.
ओके.
कानपुर node is totally filled up.
तो अभी इन्वेस्टर्स को अगर आना है तो कहाँ आना है?
अभी नहीं, इन्वेस्टर्स यहाँ भी आ सकते हैं. Now it's been such a unprecedented hit
Okay.
that we are now buying more land in Lucknow and Kanpur.
So, लांबा साहब, अभी आपके पास 6 नोड्स.
हमारे पास 6 नोड है. 6 नोड में से 2 नोड बिल्कुल पूरे भर चुके हैं.
ठीक.
बाकी नोड भरने की कगार में है अभी, जैसे कि झांसी नोड. लेकिन जब हमको लगता है कि यहाँ डिमांड इस जगह में ज्यादा है, so we have gone ahead, like we have now felt very seriously that demand in Lucknow is much more than what we had planned.
Is there any duplication between the UPDIC and the Tamil Nadu DIC?
Duplication, see, both are into the composite mode. इसका मतलब ये है कि ideally ये होना चाहिए within a state you have one node जहाँ पे आप explosives बनाते हैं, दूसरे node जहाँ पे आप radars बनाते हैं, तीसरे node जहाँ पे ये होता है. But that does not work out because we have to look into the convenience of the investors also. We started off with that, but now it's become a composite thing.
Okay.
Like anybody can develop anything in any place.
Okay.
But by
this
default,
is to make it resilient and flexible. Okay. Yeah.
Similar is the thing with Tamil Nadu. So they have also gone into the same model.
Okay.
So all the nodes can accommodate, and we are welcome. We are open to they coming and opening any industries till the time it is a defense industry.
So, Sujit ji, so I mean that really sounds very heartening, and the thing is that not many people know about it. The investors don't know about it. Our researchers don't know about it. The larger strategic community doesn't know about it. Now, I have a question for you, which is that do you think that based on the successes of these two particular corridors, and here we are discussing the UP one, do you think the government will eventually plan, or there are recommendations for opening many more such corridors in different states?
Absolutely, I trust our honorable visionary Prime Minister to do so.
Okay.
And in fact, I think a third corridor is being discussed in the northeast in the state of Assam. I mean, I don't know at what stage the discussions are on, but definitely there are possibilities of more defense corridors.
Right.
Particularly, as Lamba Saab said, indigenization is the way to go.
Okay, all right. So with that, we have almost reached the end of the discussion, and I'm going to come to each one of you for about a 10-second, 15-second last bite. Dr. Shahi, आपसे शुरू करें. आप बताइए लास्ट में क्या आप बताना चाहेंगे?
मैं ये जोड़ना चाह रहा था कि फॉरेन इन्वेस्टमेंट के लिए हम लोगों ने यूपी में एफडीआई पॉलिसी एक अलग से लाई है।
अच्छा।
और जैसा लांबा साहब ने कहा कि हम लोग फॉरेन इन्वेस्टमेंट की ही कमी है, ऑल्दो कोई ज्वाइंट वेंचर आए हैं, बट वो आर्म्स एम्युनिशन छोटे हैं, वो हैं जो आए हैं। लेकिन एफडीआई फॉरेन इन्वेस्टमेंट चाहिए हम लोगों को, और उसके लिए हम एक बेटर कंपोजिट पैकेज के साथ एक फॉरेन पॉलिसी लेके आए हैं। उसमें इंडस्ट्रीज में तो आ गए हैं, बट डिफेंस इंडस्ट्रीज में अभी हम लोग प्रयास कर रहे हैं। उसके लिए जितने भी इंटरनेशनल फोरम हैं या कोई भी इस तरह से लगता है फेयर, तो वहाँ हम लोग जाते हैं और प्रयास कर रहे हैं।
Oh, very useful. Sanjay, Colonel Sanjay Singh, what are your concluding thoughts on today's discussion, and what is that one thing that you'd still like to convey that has not been conveyed?
WB Electronics is a big name in the world fora, and they have got a subsidiary here at WB Electronics India, which is absolutely the part of our bandwagon called UP Defense Industrial Corridor. So we have got, and our intent of going in for JV is not to get money, ma'am. The intent is JV, anybody and everybody will be welcome if he is bringing in technology.
General Lamba, what are your concluding thoughts?
Okay, my concluding
and also,
thoughts
अब थोड़ा सा हमें ये भी बताइए, challenges भी बताइए, सब अच्छी बातें तो नहीं हो सकती ना?
challenges भी बताते हैं
जी।
मेरा concluding में ये होगा कि why UP, why उत्तर प्रदेश?
अच्छा।
Ease of doing business, we are number one. Without doing, the human interface is very less. Everything is automated. Speed of doing business, again, marvelous. In case the potential investor has got the documents, has got the money, we can give them land in a couple of months. In case they don't have the finances, we get them into joint ventures. In case they don't have the documents, we go in to provide them licenses. Finally, the policy that we have is absolutely outstanding, and it is very attractive. We have the workforce available, very cheap workforce available. We have the land tracts available. And we were talking about the MSMEs. The largest number of MSMEs in the country is in UP. So challenges, as is evident, challenges are number one, that we are not very well known in the international community, and therefore we must go out, and we've started going out to sell ourselves, and they are coming. And because we are not very well known in the international community, not very many people are coming to us. So one challenge is to reach out to them.
Communication, basically.
Communication.
The right communication channel.
And the direct corollary to that is the FDI.
Totally, yeah.
And the second challenge with us is investment in certain nodes which are in the remote area.
Okay.
Although they have all the requisites, they are the best of all the nodes, but like, say for example, Chitrakoot, it's a little away. So people are not aware of this place, and that is why they don't want to come. So remoteness of a few nodes is one challenge to get investors, but now we've managed to get Bell over there. Now when Bell comes over there, the others will also come.
नहीं, वो आप सही कह रहे हैं, because actually in a lot of my own conversations with the foreign partners, so the thing is that, oh, we don't know it, and then how will you know it if you don't talk? So the right communication is key here. But on that note, I'll have to thank each one of you for taking the time out and actually, making this possible, because it is so difficult to get the legislative branch of the government and the executive branch of the government together for a meaningful discussion. So Sujit ji, thank you for taking the time out. out, and all the best. And we hope to sort of through you also see many substantive changes in how our defense policy is going and growing. Major General Lamba, thank you so much, and for all the
My
elaboration.
pleasure.
Yeah, Dr. Shahi, thank you so much once again for being so patient and helping us understand the fundamentals. Yes, and Colonel Sanjay Singh, again, my last thanks would go to you for actually helping us understand through all the data and all the visuals about how wonderful this project is. So thank you, and keep watching the Worldview for Swasti. We'll be back with a fresh new episode. Stay tuned.